Sorry, I'm a couple of minutes late. I'm just getting a couple of things together here, and then we're going to get started. Let me just get this other computer on here now. A couple of minutes late. Just put a couple of things together here, and then turn that sound off. There we go. Otherwise, I'll be hearing myself talking back to myself. Give me 1 second. I just want to get to that right thing here. There we go. I was looking for my car questions. I have it on my other computer. Got to see where we left off last week. I don't remember exactly where we were. I see we got a couple of people in here before I was even here. One second, let me just see which one we finished off with last week. I know we did the V12. Which one had the first seat belts? All right, I think. Okay, all right, I think we're good. Okay, looks like a lot of people are in here already. Surprised you guys were here before I was. I hope everybody's having a good weekend. Waiting for the minutes. Chris, good evening, everybody. Sorry, I'm just looking through real quick. Eating my Subway sandwich. That's good. Lon, hi, how you doing? Oh, Lon, thank you. I will. I promised you I was going to call you, Lon. It's just been really crazy. A lot of stuff has been going on. You know, we've been talking about it. There's lots of stuff going on, but I will give you a call, and I'll give you the update on what's happening. All right, 78 degrees, no humidity. It was actually beautiful here too. Today here it was probably, I'm going to guess a little bit over 80, but the humidity dropped like crazy. The other day when it was 100% humidity was absolutely horrible. But today's a really really decent day out there. So like I said, I hope everybody had a good weekend. Unfortunately, it is Sunday and back to work tomorrow, but it was a gorgeous weekend. I got a lot of stuff done here around my house, some gardening and such, and most important, I got my fishing rod go. So I'm going to be doing some fishing. I got some new fishing equipment. I want to test it out. So maybe one night after work, I'll stop by the lake over here and do a little bit of fishing, and maybe we'll even do a little fishing video or something like that. But we'll see how it goes. So, all right, how you like my new shirt, everybody? Huh? You like that? If this doesn't say Hawaii, the only thing better than having a Hawaiian shirt is being in Hawaii. Maybe one day I'll even do a live stream from Hawaii. What do you think? Think we can write that off on the taxes? I think that may not be something to be written off. Lon, thank you very much. Who we got here? All right. We got a lot of people in here tonight. We got Lon, we got Chris, we got Joe, we got Gerald. Gerald, I promise you, it's just been a hectic couple of weeks, but I will send you what I promised you I'm going to send you. And MG63, you also. Hope everything is doing good. It was good talking to you a couple of weeks ago, or last week, I think it was actually. I see we got Stanley in here. Hey, you like that, Lon, huh? You like this shirt, huh? I don't know. This is probably one of my favorite colors is blue, and this says Hawaii to me. Hawaii is expensive, but I've been there a couple of different times, and it's really nice. Expensive probably to live there, and it's even expensive to go there as a tourist. But it's really probably the nicest place I've been in forever, and I've gone a lot of places, but Hawaii was probably the best place for me. Speaking of Hawaii, does anybody know what's going on with the volcano out there? I haven't seen anything on the news or anything like that, and I just haven't had a chance to look it up on the computer to see what's going on. But I'm sure that the volcano is still erupting out there. Karina, hi, you like that shirt, huh? Last time I went fishing was with a bamboo cane pole and pulled some carp from the creek. Bamboo. Uh-oh, Lon, I think you're showing your age now. When you say A bamboo pole. I think you're showing your age. Oh my gosh. MG63, Bayonne is much nicer than Hawaii. I don't know about that because, I don't seem to dream about Bayonne, but I do dream about Hawaii. All right. Okay, we're going to talk about a couple things. A couple things I want to talk about. I do have a couple of questions I want to respond back to some people. I don't know if they're going to be here, but I did tell them to stop by, Sunday night so we could talk about some problems we're having so we can, just go over a few things. But I want to talk about the, driving type. This time of the year, that this time of the year, it is going to be hot. There is going to be a lot of traffic. You want to always make sure your car is ready for the summertime. You want to make sure you check all your fluids, make sure you check all of your tire pressure, and most important, if you're taking a long trip and you're going someplace, what I used to do, my wife and myself used to do when we went on vacation and we were someplace such as Arizona or someplace like Florida, someplace where it was really hot. The first thing we would do is whenever we got the rental vehicle is we go to a local store and pick up some water and some stuff to have in the car just in case, God forbid, you ever broke down. At least you'll have something in the car to drink or something to while you're waiting for help to arrive. And I know a lot of people are going to say, well, with a rental car, you don't have that problem. But I can tell you for a fact, you do have that problem. Just going back years ago, I was in California and we were down in, I think it was in San Diego when we were going out to go to, I'm thinking it was out by, I'm not even sure where it was, but anyhow, it was out. You had to go through the desert and travel through the desert and go up a lot of hills to get up to this tramway that would bring you up like 7 different climate zones. I'm thinking it was Palm Springs actually. And we got the rental car, took the rental car, went out, started driving down there, and it was so hot down there. It was well over 100 degrees. The car started overheating. This is a brand new car, started overheating while we were driving, and I wound up, me and my wife, Mrs. Jimthecarguy, got stranded out there, and we wound up sitting there waiting for the car to cool down so we can continue on our ride because the car overheated so badly trying to travel through there. So the point I'm making is you always want to make sure you're prepared, make sure you have any kind of water or whatever you may need in the car, and because you may be stuck there for a couple of hours waiting for help. And if I'm not mistaken, I believe that day it was well over 100 degrees out there. All right, let's see what we got going on here. Okay. Gerald says the island is melting slowly into the ocean. Yeah, it sure looks like it. But you know what the Hawaiians say though, Gerald, is that, or Pele, the goddess or whatever in Hawaii, says that it's actually like the Hawaiian Islands being reborn because it's actually continually growing whenever the volcanoes erupt and it makes its way down to the down to the ocean. All right. Let's keep growing. Jim lived there. Jim Bob says live there. Very expensive. Milk $5 a gallon. Yeah, that's the problem there is because almost everything that you have to have food wise, unless it's grown or raised locally, you have to have it imported. And, to me, I mean, I knew Hawaii was out in the ocean. It was quite a distance out there. I had no idea how far out it was until you land in California and you'll take off and head back out to the island I went to was the Big Island. And you look at the map and you say, well, it's a couple of hours, 1-2 hours, whatever. It wasn't. It was a significant amount of time to get out there. It's really out. So everything has got to be imported to the island. Having a problem, 2001 for P500. I changed the slave cylinder and the clutch cylinder, and now this. All right. Timothy, send me an email, and I can do a little bit of research for you, and I can let you know what you should be, looking at. You don't want to just go throwing parts at it. You want to know for sure what's going on. but send me an email. My email, if you click on the About part in my on my channel, you click on the About, it's got my email in there, but basically it's jimthecarguy1@gmail.com. Big Dog 50001. Hi, everyone. Good to see you. I hope you're doing well. Okay. Super Joe 70 says, Jim, where are you going on vacation this year? To be truthful with you, I'm probably not going to do any vacation this year. I think I'm just going to do a little fishing down at the Jersey Shore, or maybe I'll head up to the mountains into Pennsylvania, do some fishing up there or something. But this year, I'm not planning any vacation. Usually, every year I do wind up going someplace, but this year there's just lots of stuff going on, so I'm probably not going to be heading anywhere this year. But Hawaii was my favorite place. Okay, McGee 60 MG 63 says Jim has the same experience as Clark in the movie Vacation. Stands in the desert, pay $500 and four balls. Yeah, I remember that one. That's right. That was a pretty good movie with Chevy Chase, right? Wire someone. Yep. Is peak antifreeze? This Gino says, is peak antifreeze a good product? Yeah, peak is a very good product too. Any of the real name brand stuff you buy it's a good antifreeze for sure. You sent me an email, Timothy? All right, so like I said, I probably get a couple of hundred emails a day, so I may have overlooked it, but if you send it to me, I will keep my eye out to make sure I get it. Give me 1 second. I just want to write this down so I don't forget. Okay, send me an email. I'll take a look at it, and then of course, I'll get back to you. Speed sent the GM part number. Lon's giving you some information. AC Delco. Joel says, nice shirt, almost bright enough. Okay. All right. Okay. All right. This is another thing I want to mention to you. That if you're on the road, and I tell this to my children all the time and my wife, that if you're on the road and you break down someplace on the road, and the reason I'm even bringing this up is I saw this a couple of days ago. I saw a guy who had a flat tire on a major highway that has a very, very small shoulder on it. And instead of the guy driving to getting off the road to a safe place, him and his wife stood out behind it and took like a seat cushion thing, and they were trying to wave people away. If you get a flat tire on your car, the most important thing to do is not to pull over to the shoulder and wait for help to arrive, because chances are somebody's going to crash into you. And if not crash into you, it's going to cause another accident somewhere else. The thing I tell everybody to do is if you have a flat tire, you can drive your car to the closest safe area so that you can pull off to the side and get the car off of the road. I mean, standing on the side of a road because you have a flat tire, it's absurd. Somebody will be coming down the road, not even realize you're there, and wind up running into the back of you. Today when you're driving, there's too much distracted driving between cell phones or GPSs or even sun glare in somebody's eyes. They may come driving down the road, the sun hits them in the eyes. They may not even see you on the side of the road. So you definitely want to get that car off to a safe area. And this guy with this car I'm telling you about, this Cadillac, was broken down. He could have driven another 300 yards, or 300 feet, I should say, and he could have been on the zebra stripes off the side, out of the way, and not have to worry about getting crashed into. So if you break down someplace or you get a flat tire, and you can drive the car to a safe area so that nobody can actually crash into you. I will tell you this, and this is not just a BS story, this is a true story. People I know were actually husband and wife and two children. And, the children had gone off to college, and they came back from college, and they were visiting friends. And they were driving the friend back to an airport. They drove the friend to the airport, dropped him off, and the brother and sister were in the car driving back home. As they're driving, something happened. The car broke down. And when they broke down, either it was the turnpike or the parkway. I don't recall which one it was. And they broke down in a left lane. They called for the 911 for the emergency, and the policeman told them, get out of the vehicle and step onto the other side of the guardrail, on the safe part of the guardrail, until help arrives. And for some reason or another, they didn't get out of the car, and the drunk driver coming down the road blasted the car at over 60 miles an hour, and both of them were killed. So the point I'm making is it definitely was, and that's only one story. I could probably tell you a dozen other stories of stuff that happened as well that I know of. Get your car to a safe place, pull it off to the side of the road, and and that way you're safe, your vehicle's safe, and nobody is going to wind up getting hurt or killed. A lot of times when the police cars come, that's why the policeman will pull his car behind you and block the street behind you with their vehicle facing outwards, because God forbid somebody comes flying down, they're not going to crash into the pedestrian who's there. They're going to wind up hitting a police car or whatever. So get the car to a safe place, and then you can have the tire changed or replaced or whatever. I mean, and God forbid you break down and you can't move the car, get out of the car, get behind the guardrail, and get into a safe place. Don't stay in the vehicle and think that that's going to be safe, because at 60 miles an hour when somebody hits you, it's not going to be a good outcome for sure. So make sure that, if anything, get the car off to the side, you get off to the side, and avoid that problem. I will tell you this, I'm driving the other day with Mrs. Jimthecarguy and myself, and we're driving down the road, and this is I think it was the Parkway actually, driving along the Parkway, and anybody who knows New Jersey knows that the Parkway, the left lane, at some points you don't have much of a shoulder. You have maybe a 2-foot shoulder to pull over to on the left. On the right side, which is where you're supposed to pull off to. And that's another thing I want to talk about too, my pet peeve about people pulling off to the left side. But the right shoulder is meant, if you break down, pull over to the right shoulder. It's plenty deep that you can get your car safely off the road. This woman pulls over to the left side with a small little Volkswagen, pulls into the left shoulder, which the car is still in the drive lanes, and she opens up her door to put her dog out on the ground so the dog can go to the bathroom. I drove past that and I said, if I had my camera, I'd have to take a picture of it, because the stupidity of some people to think that that's a good idea to pull off in the fast lane on the left side, half off on the shoulder, and the other half of the car still in the drive lanes, and of all things, in the left lane, to stick her dog out the door so the dog can go to the bathroom. I drove past that and I said, I just can't believe the mentality of some people, how foolish they are. So, what was I going to say? Something else we're going to talk about too. All right, that's that. Okay, let's see what we got going here. Let me just go back here, see what's going on. Antifreeze. Timothy, you're going to send me that email again, and I will look out for it. I will tell you I will not be looking at it tonight or tomorrow. I got a lot of stuff going on tomorrow, but I'll take a look at it on Tuesday, and I'll do some research, and I'll get back to you. It's probably going to, see, the thing you have to think of, Tim, is that a lot of times when you buy a part, depending on the quality of the part you buy, you may assume that it's, I put the speed sensor in already, and that didn't take care of the problem. It's got to be something else. Sometimes that speed sensor you got is no good. So depending on what quality part you got, I don't know what part you got or which piece you actually changed, but make sure, everybody, whenever you buy a part, don't buy the cheapest part you can find, because the cheapest part you can find, frequently you'll put it in the car and it may not even work properly, or it may create another problem. I told you about this problem we had at the shop. It was a Dorman's product, and as everybody knows, Dorman is not the best product in the world out there. But I had this truck that came into the shop, and there was an intermittent glitch that every couple of months it would pop up where it would be whatever, the accelerator pedal, the accelerator pedal position sensor was out of sync. But it wouldn't happen all the time. It would happen occasionally. So I couldn't pinpoint exactly what it was. I said to the guy, we're going to put the pedal in, the accelerator pedal in, and we'll try it. That's most likely what your problem is going to be. I've run into that before, and that usually takes care of it. Told him the price on what it was from the dealership. He didn't want to spend that money, and he said, "Well, can you do anything cheaper for me?" So I gave him the option of getting the aftermarket parts from the local parts store, which was, I think, it may have been a Napa store. I don't recall exactly, but I got the parts sent in, and when I opened up the box, it turned out to be a Dorman product. But I took and it was half the price of the dealership probably. Took the part, put it into the vehicle, started the vehicle up. As soon as I started it up, just like that, the check engine light came on, pops on right away. So I was like, well, that never happened like that before. Usually it's after a month or two of driving it would do it. So I scanned it, and it came up with a code, and I cleared the code out. Used no codes in there, start the vehicle up. As soon as I started it up, bam, the light lit right back up again. I put the computer on to see what the code is. It was a totally different code than was in there before, but it was related to the accelerator pedal itself. So I took that pedal out, put the original pedal back in, and sure enough, that never came back on. I was able to drive the vehicle without that light coming back on. So the point I'm making is that sometimes you'll buy a brand new part, such as this Dorman accelerator pedal, put it in only to find out that Dorman pedal is just no good. So spend the extra money, get a decent part, do the job one time. That's what I wound up doing for this guy here. Is I wound up getting it from the dealer, which really wasn't that much more expensive anyway. Put it in the vehicle, and the truck left, and I haven't seen the truck since. It took care of his problem. So even though it is a little bit more expensive, buy the part. You'll do it one time, and you'll be done with it. You won't have to worry about it. I'll give you another, for instance, too. I had a guy come in, and I probably told you this story already, but it was a guy comes in with a BMW. And granted, the BMW had a lot of miles on it. It was probably over 200,000 miles. He comes in, and it's leaking antifreeze. And I look underneath the hood, and sure enough, it is leaking. It's the overflow reservoir tank itself. It's leaking through the reservoir. Antifreeze is leaking out. So call up the guy, tell him, listen, this overflow bucket has got to be replaced. It's cracked, so it has to be replaced. And I gave him the price on what the part was going to cost from the dealer. And he pretty much almost had a heart attack, and he wanted to get something cheaper and less expensive. So we wound up taking the less expensive part, which was the Dorman's part. Now, if anybody knows a BMW, to get the overflow tank out and to replace it, it's really not a big job. It's fairly easy. Basically, all you do is you take off the cap on the top, you take off the hose on the bottom, you unplug a sensor, pull out a clip, pull it out, put the new one back in, snap it back together, and that's it. Took it out, could not get that Dorman overflow bucket to catch back in there. And I tried like heck to do it. And, you try pushing it in, you try maneuvering it around, because sometimes the two pieces stick up like this, the two tubes on the bottom, and they need to go into the bucket. And if it's off a little bit one way or the other, they don't line up exactly, you can't snap it in. So I went underneath the bottom of it, played around. Long story short, got the bucket in, put it all back together. Customer leaves with it. He comes back a little while later, a couple of days or a week later, and it's leaking all over the place again. I look at it, and sure enough, that bucket is cracked in a different spot than the other one. Where they had put it together, I guess they bonded together with some kind of an adhesive, put it together, and it was leaking right through that seal right there, so it wasn't made properly. So needless to say, that whole job's got to come apart. So I told the customer, I said, I can get under warranty for you, but the only way I'm going to put this back together again is it has to be the original BMW part. And he cried about it because it was a lot more money. But I said, that's the only way I'm going to do it. I'm not going to play around. I lost money by doing that job the last time, and now I'm doing it the second time for free. So it's either BMW or I don't do the job. So we got the BMW part, took the Dorman's part out, and like I said, pull off a clip, take out the sensor, undo the hose on the bottom. 15 minutes, pulled it out, put the new one right back in. It was 1, 2, 3, it was done, lined up perfectly. And I wound up sending the the other overflow bucket back to the Dormans people to get a warranty on it because I was never going to use that product again. All right, so long story short, make sure you buy a good quality part because the quality of the part is going to wind up saving you a big headache. All right, let's see what we got going on here. Let me go back. Gerald says, Timothy, I've worked on numerous cavalier sensors and always been a broken wire. Gerald, you're probably right that it is going to be a broken wire. It's just, a matter of tracking it back. Especially, I think I saw something in here that said low voltage. Timothy says, no, I didn't no, my scan. This is low voltage to it. So, Timothy, most likely you're going to need a wiring diagram to actually go follow the wiring to find out because most likely, like Gerald says, it's probably going to be a broken wire someplace. I had it one time that a vehicle came in and the problem was intermittent and it wouldn't happen all the time. And I forgot what it was. It was actually burning out a fuse of some sort. And as it turns out, it was a Nissan in the back of the head where the wiring harness went from the front of the engine to the back of the engine. It made that turn right around the corner right there. Somebody had done work at one point and left off the connectors that hold the harness up out of the way. And the harness slid down, touched into it, and wound up wearing a hole into the harness. So I wouldn't do it all the time. We'd do it under acceleration or reverse or whatever. So to find the wire, you're going to need to follow the wiring, especially if it's saying low voltage. It's probably going to be a broken wire on there. All right, let's see. Jim, do you know if using aftermarket O2 sensor in a Jeep Commander known to cause a problem? P1128. I'm not sure what that 1128 means, but the aftermarket sensors, there really isn't a problem with the aftermarket sensors. You can use them as long as you go with a good quality aftermarket sensor. You don't want to buy one of these. One thing I will tell you is never, ever, ever buy an oxygen sensor that it's a universal. You have to cut the wires and splice them back together and put it into the vehicle. Don't do that. Buy yourself a good quality sensor and you shouldn't have a problem. I use them all the time. Standard is a very good product. You shouldn't have anyone. My dog just came over to say hello to me. You buy a Standard, you buy a good quality part, and you shouldn't have a problem with it. All right. Yeah, Bill Maxfried. Hey, Jim. Great chat last week. Thank you. I did get it actually. A couple of things I want to talk about. Bill, somebody actually, who was it? Scuba. One of my subscribers called Scuba sent me a thing. I just wanted to talk about it. It's regarding the discussion last week. So we will talk about that a little bit later. Actually, what time we got going on here? Oh, it's getting pretty late already. Give me 1 second here. Get back to my car questions here. All right. Okay. Give me 1 second. Something's not right here. Okay, here we go. There we go. All right, I lost my car questions here. I just want to make sure I brought them back, and then we have a couple of things I want to talk about, especially this one here. You're going to like this one. Okay, let's see. We got okay, Gerald. Okay, somebody else sent me an email here too. Give me 1 second. Let me see what they got going on. Stanley Jacobs, I sent you an email. Stanley, I get so many. I'm writing your name down, so I will keep an eye out for it. But like I was telling Timothy, as I get so many emails, a lot of times I just can't answer them all, and sometimes I will just actually. Sometimes I will just skip past a couple of pages of emails just so I can look through some of them. So send it to me again, and I will look for it. I wrote your name down, Stanley, and along with Timothy, and I'll try to help you out with that. Okay. IRW Automotive. Thanks for the video on how to change the power steering O-ring on a Honda. It saved me from getting a new power steering pump on my 2007 Accord. It's very, very common. I'm glad that it worked out good for you. I mean, such a simple thing like 2 little O-rings can cause the problem. And what happens, as you know, it's pulling the air in while it's trying to pull the fluid. It's pulling in air. That aerates the fluid, and that causes a whole bunch of issues. It causes the power steering fluid to actually rise up in the reservoir and leak all over the place. It causes a buzzing noise, not to mention it causes a stiff steering. So I'm glad it worked out okay for you. It's actually been a very common problem. And a lot of times you won't even see any fluid leaking on the ground or anything like that, if you even see anything. Gerald says, do not buy Dorman. Can be avoided. If it can be avoided, absolutely. I mean, years ago, Dorman used to be a really good product. Now, not so much. So I actually agree with you, Gerald. I just don't like the Dorman products myself, but that's just personal preference. It's just like every time I've had them, not every time, but a good percentage of the times that you do have a problem. Timothy says no, got parts from Rock Auto, from Clutch Parts. You see, the problem is that a lot of times, though, is that even if you get them from Rock Auto, a lot of times when you go on Rock Auto or not just Rock Auto, any of these places online, you'll have a good quality part and you'll have the lower end part. Don't always go by the price. Make sure you go by what the actual what the part actually is, who actually makes the part. Because a lot of these places online, they want to sell you a cheaper part it's less expensive and you'll spend less money, but it may not be the right thing from you. Brute clutch parts. Okay, the wire could have got something else. Cheap aftermarket parts. That's Joel saying that is true. Factory parts are usually the best. Unfortunately, you're going to pay big bucks for it. I'm going to tell you a story about it. I probably told you this already too, but I'm going to tell you again. Oh, my buddy Rare Diamond is here from Hawaii. I hope everything is going well. Oh, my friend Wyatt is here also. Central New York on July 31st. You know what, Wyatt? You have my phone number, right? Give me a call. What day is that fall on the 31st? But yeah, let me know. Let me know for sure. Central New York. Just let me know whereabouts, and I'm up for it. And I think that Keith may be able to stop by too. It'd be good to see you. But give me a call on my cell phone whenever you have a chance, Wyatt, and we can talk. I don't have my phone here, so I'm not even sure when the 31st is. Okay. Rare Diamond says, whenever I can for our and my customers vehicle, I recommend we have some. Yeah, it's true. My buddy Rare Diamond here says the same thing, is that, whenever possible, go with the OEM. I mean, years ago, you used to be able to get aftermarket parts that were decent. Today, the aftermarket parts, they're not as dependable as they used to be. They're really garbage. So, make sure you know what part. Sometimes cost is really a lot if you go with the original OEM stuff, but sometimes you want to definitely do that. Okay. right, buddy. It's on a Wednesday. You know what, Wyatt? That may work for me. When we talk on the phone, I will give you the update of what's going on. I got a couple of things going on, but let me know what time Wednesday. That'd be good. If I can always knock off early or something like that, and we can, I'll shoot up and we can have dinner, or maybe Keith will be up there as well. So, let me know for sure. That'd be good. I look forward to catching up with a lot of things with you, Wyatt. Okay, I'm going back here. Just going back. Do you have any comment about brake rotors? Brake rotors are actually, truthfully, brake rotors used to be garbage. When you used to buy the aftermarket brake rotors, you couldn't even put them on a car without machining them first. You had to put it on your lathe and run it off just to make sure that it was nice and straight, because they were made like garbage. Today, believe it or not, the brake rotors, I'd say probably 99%, 99.9%, you put them on a car, you're not going to have a problem. But go with I always try to use the ones that are what they call it. It's somewhat of a plating. They put on like a electrostatic plating or something like that. They're usually pretty good. It's about $5 more than the regular cheaper ones, but the reason I like them is because, and this is personal preference, but me, when you try to take a rotor off a vehicle and you have the hub, where the hub bearing where the rotor fits over, a lot of times the center part of the rotor where it fits over the top of that hub bearing, they rust all up around in there, making it really, really rough to get them off. Where sometimes you'll have to get in there and pound it with a hammer to get it off, get in there with a pry bar. I've even had them where I had to use the drum and rotor puller by OTC to put it on there and shoot it on with the air gun to get that rotor to pop off. The reason I like the electrostatic plating on there is because they don't rust. Of course, the face where the brake pad is going to touch, that will rust if it's left sitting. But the part of the rotor that actually fits over the hub itself, that doesn't rust as much, and they seem to come off a lot easier the next time down the road. So that's just my personal preference. And for the $5 difference in price, you're better off going that route for sure. All right, what do we got here now? Brake rotors. Sorry, I just touched it and we jumped. Okay, give me a call for sure. Timothy, the speedometer. Okay. Gerald, thanks for trying to help him out. I appreciate the help. Thank you. Sometimes it's a little hard to actually see everything going on here. Remember what I'm going to do here, and then the stuff we're going to do over there. All right, but now let's talk about a couple of things here. These are some questions that were presented to me during the week, and this one comes from Cindy. Cindy, I don't know if you're out there, but if you're out there watching, let me know. I just saw something, moved to Arizona, forget about rust. That's true, Arizona, you're not going to get any rust down there. You just can't breathe. It's 100 and whatever degrees. I think it was the other day, it was like 110 degrees down there. That's just a little bit too hot for me. Okay, this one comes from one of my subscribers, Cindy. She says, Jim, I have a question. All three of my passenger windows don't roll up or down. Please help. What can I do? Just the driver's side window works. So I don't know if Cindy's here or not, but this I'm not sure what kind of a car it is, what year the car is or anything like that, but I will tell you this. If one window went out first and it failed, they say the right front window failed and it stopped working. And the 2 months or whatever, 3 months later, the right rear stopped, but the left rear still worked. If they all went out at different times, then I would check the motor itself to find out where you have to open up the door to find out what's going on with the wiring. If all three of those windows failed at the exact same time, then it leads me to believe there's going to be a couple of things going on. Cars today, and I'm sure I'm going to mention it anyway because I've had it already, you know the cars have on the window the button that you can press to bypass the other window so they won't function. Um, I, I'm not that I'm saying you didn't check such a simple thing, but I've seen it before where people come into me and they say, "Oh, I can't get my door open in the back," and from the inside, and it turns out that the child guard lock was clicked up. Um, just check to make sure. A very simple thing. Make sure that that button on your main pass on the main driver's side control is not pressed, and because that'll turn all three windows off. The only one that will function is the driver's side front. So if all three failed at the same time, check to make sure that that switch is not turned on. And if that switch is not turned on, then you're going to need to get a wiring diagram and go in and check to find out what it is. Depending on the year of the car, how old it is, and what kind of condition the car is in, it could be a broken wire leading from that main control switch in through the body of the car and then off to the other side. I've seen it happen frequently, especially on Fords. They break all the time right inside the door where the door opens up into the front, where it closes right there where the hinges are. Those wires in that wiring harness, they break inside that rubber piece. And if that wire breaks, that's going to cause everything else to fail. It happens all the time. So, Cindy, let me know what you find and maybe a little more details of how it actually failed, so we can try to to get to the root of it. And this was one of my subscribers named Bill. I won't mention his last name. This is Bill, and he says, "Great vid." This is about the last week's talk about the service writers and dealerships, the games they play. It says, "Great video, Jim. This is why I think it's important for all." This is why I think it's important for all car owners to seek out a local independent mechanic and have him or her not only perform one major repair, but to do and also perform routine maintenance. A mechanic who is familiar with the vehicle history will be ahead of the game in many instances. This could save you time and money, and love to support small business. And I'm going to, Bill, that's a very good point to bring out. And anybody who's in the business knows that if you have a customer that comes to you once in a great while, you don't know what's going on with that car until you get it into the shop. I have my regulars that will call me up and they say, "Jim, listen, this is going on with my car. What do you think it is?" Right away in my head, I'm thinking, well, I did the brakes, I did the caliper, I did this, I did that, I did the other thing. Well, it has to be this. And it's like, oh, that's no big deal. This is going to be your problem, because I'm familiar with the car and I know everything that had to be done with the car. And myself, and I'm sure a lot of the other guys do this as well, when they write up an invoice for the customer, they'll jot down on the invoice or on private comments or whatever, this is what needs to be done on your vehicle. So that way you know what kind of repairs are coming down the road. You go to a dealership, chances are you're going to go to a dealership, you'll see the same person there for a very short period of time, and then all of a sudden you look around, he's nowhere to be found. Dealership service writers and such as that, they bounce around a lot. A lot of them don't stay, and they couldn't care less about you. Me, I have customers. I've been in business 42 years. I have customers that come to me. Now, obviously, they're not driving anymore. Well, actually, some of them are. But the point I'm making is that I worked on the mother and father's car. Then the children grew up, got married, and had children. I'm working on my original customers' children's cars. That's how long I've been with some of my customers from back in the day when I first started. Actually, just recently, I think about a year ago, my first customer that I ever had. I don't know. I'm going to tell you the story. I mean, this guy here, my shop was on 53rd and Kennedy. This guy lived on, I think it was like 51st, not far away. And he was the first customer, big old Cadillac. He had two Cadillacs, actually. And I used to work on his car all the time. And I knew him over the years. And, he knows about me. He knows about my wife. He knows about my kids. He knows everything about me, just like I know everything about him and his family and all that kind of stuff. Well, when he got older and he couldn't drive anymore, he wound up still coming to my shop. all the time. And because my shop, I used to be on 53rd and Kennedy. He lived on 51st. Then I moved from my shop on 53rd to a shop on 51st. And then from 51st, I moved to another shop on 49th, which I actually am in right now. And that's the one that I bought 20 some odd years ago. But he used to still walk around Bayonne all the time. And he would come to my shop and he would be sitting in my front office. He would come walking into the shop and just sit down. And, and up until, a couple of years ago, he got taken very, very ill and wound up passing away. He used to be in by didn't work on his car obviously anymore, but he used to come to my shop and just hang out and stay at the shop. And I remember one time sitting there talking to this guy, and he's sitting in my office and we're talking and everything, and the customer comes in and I says to my one customer, I said, this guy over here, his name was Joe. I said, this guy, Joe, I said, he was my first customer I ever had. I said, whatever it was, 38 years later, and I still can't get rid of this guy. And then the guy says, my customer looks, my original first customer, Joe, looks to my other customer and he says, yeah, he says, you know how long I know him? I knew him when he had hair. So, but by that he meant hair, because I used to have hair down to here when I first started in business way back in the day. All right. Chris says, yep, good advice. Agree, Joel. Karina says, I love the stories. Yeah, I tell lots of stories, though. Sometimes I get started and I don't know when to stop because I usually go from one story into another. Like here, it's 7:50 and I didn't even talk about half the stuff I wanted to talk about here. And, so we'll see what we can do. All right. What we got? I'll see what we got. MG63 says, unfortunately, guys like Jim are a dying breed. Not easy to find a good local shop anymore. That's, I do agree with you. When I first started the business, most of the guys in the business were all pretty decent guys. Today, you do have to be careful. You have to know who you're dealing with, because there's just so many places out there that have no clue what they're doing. And what they're going to do is they're going to keep on throwing parts at the problem until finally they hit the problem right on the head. So, you do have to, it is hard to find a decent mechanic out there, that's for sure. Let me just see. Cavalier is a Daewoo in disguise. Yeah, that's true. Daewoos, that's true. The problem with Daewoo is one of my customers had a Daewoo, which actually wound up being taken over by Chrysler, I believe it was, and you couldn't get parts for it. I had a Daewoo that I needed spark plug wires for, and I couldn't get them aftermarket, and I couldn't get them from the dealer either. So, and then Daewoo was gone, right? Okay, we got skipping a little bit here. All right, motor runs fine. Oh, that's right. MG63, like Arago says, they fire the parts cannon at it. That's true. That's true. I mean, a lot of times when we get parts, sent to our shop, if I get them sent in from a local parts store, if I get that part sent to my shop and I go to open up the box and that box has been opened or is all greasy or the part is dirty, I don't even send the part back and I get a new part. I won't take a chance, because a lot of mechanics out there, that's exactly what they do. Like Eric says, they fire the parts cannon at it. It's the truth. All right, what do we got here? Okay. All right, Gerald. Gerald, thanks a lot for helping out. I appreciate all the help you've given to my subscribers. Okay, and this one comes from Jesus. He says, hi, good video. One question. I need... okay. Sorry about this. It says, I need to change an exterior door handle on an Acura MDX. Let me know, please. Now, this one here, this actually, Jesus sent me this, but it was in reference to another one that I was doing. I think it might have been a Honda. I was changing the inside door lock itself. So I will tell you this, once you have the car or the truck in this case all apart and all the way down to the point where you can see the inside like that, to change that door handle is not bad. You just need to put the window all the way up as far as you can so that you can actually see the bottom of it. And then when you see the bottom of it, there's going to be a rod that connects up into it. Now, if it's a front door or back door, I'm not sure which one, but you need to disconnect that rod from underneath there. If you disconnect the rod, now when you pull the outside handle, there'll be nothing attached to it. So you disconnect the rod, and if it's a front one, you may have a sensor in there, so you may have to unplug it. If it's a back one, you're probably not going to. And then basically it's just going to be a couple of bolts in the back of it, probably 2 bolts in the back of it that you'll need to unscrew, and then that door handle comes off right from the outside. So that actually it's a very simple job. Once you got everything apart, it's very simple to do the replacement of that exterior door handle. But now I will point this out to you. When you do that handle, a lot of times when you the outside handle, when you take those bolts out, just watch how you pull it out, because a lot of times you have to pull it out and turn it to get it to come out. You want to remember how you turned it to get it out, because once you have your new one and you go to put it back in, you're going to need to twist it around a little bit to get it in there as well. So, and the way that they make these outside door handles today, you look at them and you think they're made of metal or something that's something that's very dependable or very sturdy. A lot of times those handles are made of plastic and they snap off underneath the bottom of them, or where the pin comes through on the handle so it can pivot, they snap off in there all the time too. So it's a very common problem, and it's really a very easy fix. Once you take those screws off inside, they should come right out. I will tell you this, a lot of times, you don't want to take the door apart, take the door handle out without having the replacement in your hand. Go to the dealership, get the new handle, so that way you have the handle in your hand. That once you take it all apart and you take the old handle out, you can put the new handle back in right away. I mean, you don't want to have to take it apart and then go ahead and order the part from the dealer, and now you got your vehicle tied up for a couple of days and you won't be able to use it until you get it from the dealer. All right. This is, too many here. So let me just do one more of these, and then we're going to do a couple of car questions, and we're going to see if anybody can get this. I do like this one car that's in this picture over here, but we'll do that question in just a minute. Okay. This is Scuba says to me, the car manual states oil change at 7,500 miles. Does Jim the Car Guy do this on his own car? No. I never, ever, ever will do 7,500 miles, no matter what these oil companies say. Some of the oil companies now are saying that they have their oil that can be changed once a year. I never do that. My one car, I have well over 200,000 miles on my car that I use to go back and forth to work every day. I think it's got about 205 or 207,000 miles on it. That car, when you drain the oil out of that car, it is just like the oil went into the car. It's spotless. When I do put the oil, even when I want to check the dipstick, pull the stick out to take a look at it, you can barely even see the oil on it. It's so clean. My personal cars, myself, I never go more than 5,000 miles. 5,000 miles is the maximum. Even with a full synthetic, I would never do the 7,500. 5,000 miles is the absolute maximum that I would ever let a car go before an oil change. Now, obviously, dealerships, they're in the business of selling cars. They want you to have a car. They want you to have a car that is for a good period of time, but they don't want you to keep the car for 210,000 miles like I do. They want you to go ahead and replace the car every few years, so that way they can obviously sell more cars. All right. Okay, what's going on over here? Sorry, I'm going to get back to that subject in just a second. I just see something else here. I'd rather go to Bayonne. I'm going to go back and see. Nat says, my mechanic is in Newark. I work in Newark and I live in Morris County. That is why Jam and Joe need to Oh, okay, Jim and Joe. And now I get it, Nat. You're talking about me and Joe, my buddy from Joe's Auto. Okay. Yeah, coming into Bayonne is a pain in the rear end, isn't it? That bridge is horrible. Need to move the shops to Newark because the drive to Bayonne is not fun. That's true. I do it every day, and it's absolutely horrible. Um, no one wants to move their shop to Newark. Newark's a tough place. It is, but, you know. That's all I'm going to say about it. Newark is a tough place to have a shop. Anybody who can run a shop out there, they must be really good mechanics then. Nat, thanks for the info. I just wanted to see what Joe was saying. I'd rather go to Bayonne. Yeah, it's true. Um, okay, I see here the trunk center license assemblies. Okay. Stanley, like I said, I get hundreds and hundreds of emails. I will watch for your email. I wrote your name down over here, and I'll see if I can help you out with it. And I could be mistaken, Stanley, but I think I may have looked at your email. I'm not positive. I'm going to have to look at it again, but I seem to remember a not just one problem, but I think you had like 10 or 12 problems with it. I could be wrong, but once I saw that, that's tough to diagnose something like that. If that's the case and yours had that 10 or 12 problems with it, that's not something I'm going to be able to resolve by talking to you through an email to tell you to resolve the problem, those 12 problems, change this spark plug and it'll take care of it. So send me the email again. I promise I will look at it. I will read through it and I will definitely let you know. As far as a dealer is concerned, 5 years is the life of a vehicle. That's true. But see, the problem with the dealership is that they want to give you a vehicle that's a decent vehicle, but they don't want you to have it too long that you're not going to buy a new vehicle continually from them. So 5 years, most of the time, 5 years, you're lucky to get the 5 years out of it. We got a lot here. Let's see. My dog come back out to see what I'm doing here. Okay. Let's see what we got going on here. Okay, so that we're gonna let that go. Okay, I think we're gonna do this car question over here because there's a lot of stuff going on. Timothy and Stanley, I will watch for your emails during the week, and I will get back to both of you and let you know my opinion on it. You may not want to hear what I got to say, but I'm going to tell you what I think. Okay, this is a question I got for you. Is everybody ready? Here we go. Okay, this is the question. What U.S. production car had the largest four-cylinder engine? Now, it doesn't say what year or anything like that. It just says what U.S. production car had the largest four-cylinder engine. So what do you think? You know what, MG63? I will show you next week my dogs. Both of them are back now with Mrs. Jimthecarguy. But I have two dogs. One is a border collie, and the other is a lab. So maybe one day I'll take some pictures and put them up there so you can see my dogs. Okay. So, what U.S. production car has had the largest four-cylinder engine? Vega, no. Rambler, no. Wow, that's a big engine. I'm just looking at that now. That thing is amazing. Chris says Ford. Nope. Joe says a Cadillac. Nope. The four-cylinder engine. Cadillac had a big engine, but it was a 500 cubic inch, but that was an eight-cylinder. Pinto? No. The Pinto had a little tiny motor. Wait till you see the picture of this car. As soon as I tell you which one it is and you see the picture of it, you're going to remember it from a TV show of years ago. So, anybody else have any ideas? What U.S. production car had the largest four-cylinder engine? Dodge? Nope. Okay, it was, and this was actually now everybody who knows AMC, no, that's not it either. Now everybody knows that the cars today they're like a 1.5, 1.6, 1.8 liter engine. This one was 9.2 liters. It was Eddie Burns said the Willys. Chris thinks a Firebird. Nope, all good answers, but none of them were correct. Believe it or not, it was a 1907 Thomas, sported a 571 cubic inch, 9.2 liter engine. Could you imagine how big those pistons were on that thing? 571 cubic inches, and it was a four-cylinder. You know, when you pull a piston out of a car, the piston is about that big on like a 350 or a 400. The piston's about that big. Could you imagine how big that piston was for a 571 cubic inches or 9.2 liters? I'll bet you that thing was probably like this, probably bigger than a coffee can, I'll bet you. Bigger than a coffee can. Yeah. Okay, we're going to do one more, and then we're going to call it a night. Okay. Oh, I remember this car. Actually, you know what? I'm going to go back a second. That car, what U.S. production car had the largest four-cylinder engine? Anybody who watched years ago, and this is only the older guys, young people are not going to know this, but there was a show on TV. It was called the Beverly Hillbillies. Did you ever see that show? That is the car that they were driving when they showed them driving down the street with all their gear piled on the back of it. That was well, to me, it looks like the car anyway, but it's a pretty neat looking car. Okay. One more, and then we're going to call it a night. Okay. All right. This one here is Jed Clampett. That's right. Yep. I'm pretty sure that was the car he was driving. It was. It looks like it in the picture anyway. Okay. This one here says this one is says what car was reportedly designed on the back of a Northwest airline air sickness bag and released on April Fool's Day, 1970. I'm going to read that to you one more time. What car was reportedly designed on the back of a Northwest airline air sick bag and released on April Fool's Day, 1970. I'm surprised, actually. So it was designed on the back of an air sick bag. Okay, MG63 says DeLorean. Nope, but that DeLorean's a pretty neat car, isn't it? I do like the DeLorean had the doors opened up like that. That was pretty neat. Okay, we got answer says AMC, Ford Maverick. Well, actually, MG63. You said AMC, and that's correct. It is an AMC, but what kind of an AMC? Pacer? Nope, wasn't the Pacer. So what do you think? What kind of car do you think it was? You think it was the Pacer? You think it was something else? It was close. It was the AMC. You're right, AMC Gremlin. Yep, I remember working on those cars. They were actually fairly decent cars too. Oh, I got your. You were right, Wyatt. I saw it. Gremlin. That autocorrect is wonderful sometimes, isn't it? Hornet, Matador, Gremlin, Spirit, all good answers. Now it's good to know that that most of you guys are probably around my age if you remember this car. But I remember doing a lot of work on that car. It was a fairly decent car too. They really didn't have too many problems with them. They were okay. But back in the day, back then, okay, back then, cars in the 70s, you were lucky back then if you got a car that would get 70,000, 75,000. You were very lucky if you ever got to 100,000. So, the AMC, it was a good car. But AMC, it doesn't exist anymore. But AMC back in the day was American Motors Corporation, because if you went underneath the hood, you would find it had a Ford starter, but it had a Chrysler alternator, and all the parts were like a Frankenstein monster of all the other car companies put together. So AMC was a combination of all the other car companies put together. But I will tell you this. The Gremlins and the AMC cars were fairly decent cars, and the Javelin, that was a fast car. Friend of mine had one of them. We used to run it down at the track all the time, and that thing was a monster. That thing, I think it was a 390 in that thing. If I'm not mistaken. That was a fast car. So, all right, I think we're going to call it a night here. I appreciate everybody stopping by and everybody contributing to the chat over here. I hope I was able to help a couple of people out with the information that they wanted. And Timothy and Stanley, I will keep an eye out and look for your and look for your emails. And okay, Wyatt, sounds great. Okay, all right. So I think we're going to call it a night. Thank you, Joe. I appreciate it. I hope everything is well with you. And I'm going to do a fishing video, and I'm going to show Joe what fish I can catch. Right, Joe? We'll see. All right. All right. I want to thank everybody for stopping by. And anybody has any ideas or what they want to have a live stream next week talk about, send me an email and we'll talk about it. All right. As always, thanks for watching. Enjoy what's left of the weekend, and I'll see you guys on the next one.